I've addressed this before, and I don't think this is really controversial. I think it should be more common knowledge, but I think we've all been spoon fed by current and former media personalities to just not quite accept this truth, right? So, if you've been alive for any amount of time, there's always been this conversation and this talking point of, specifically in the NBA, where do guys want to play? They want to play in LA, they want to play in Miami, they want to play in Philly, these big cities, they want to play in New York. Here's the reality of it if you really break down NBA history, right? Now, I don't deny really quick that, yes, when you make the kind of money that these guys make, living in an LA is cooler than living in a Minnesota. It just is. Living in a Miami is cooler than living in even Kansas City, who's on obviously a historic run right now in football. Like, there is cities that are just cooler to live in, and that's valid. But the idea that guys select a place to play strictly on the city, or the city being this overwhelming factor, I believe it is just false, and I think history backs me up. Let's go with a current version of this take, right? So, the Lakers, they got LeBron, they got AD, and who do they want to add this offseason? Well, they got Bronny. That's a start. But from a free agent perspective, there was all these guys they were linked to. They were linked to DeJounte Murray. He went to the Pelicans. They were linked to Klay Thompson. He signed with the Mavericks. They wanted Jonas Valanciunas, apparently. He went to the Wizards. They even said they wanted Chris Paul, potentially. He signed with San Antonio, and a year into his career, Victor Wembanyama. The reality is that the Lakers, or any big market team, they don't just get guys because it's just New York, it's just LA. Now, I won't say it's impossible. There is obviously some hometown feel that guys get. You know, LeBron in Cleveland, I understand, not a big market, but Melo wanted to go back to New York. That's where he's from, big city. But let's also remember, it wasn't like Melo a year into his career, 2 years into his career, was just going like, oh my gosh, I can't wait to get to New York. I'm going to just play out my rookie contract, get one deal, and move. The Nuggets were better than the Knicks the majority of Melo's the beginning part of his career. And it wasn't until the Knicks started to have some momentum and some pieces, and Amari Stoudemire went there, that Melo was like, okay, cool. Now's the time I can go because they have the players there. You know, and this is, take any era of basketball, this is just flat out the truth. It's not that the Lakers got everybody in the 80s. Everybody just wanted to play in LA. The Lakers drafted this guy named Magic Johnson. Pretty good draft pick. They draft Magic. They get Kareem. We know the rest is history. And yes, there were guys that wanted to play, but it wasn't just that they wanted to go to LA. It was the fact Magic was in LA. Because I guarantee you, if Magic was in Milwaukee, or Magic was in one of these lesser known cities or lesser glamorous cities, guys would have wanted to go play with Magic Johnson. When Kobe was in LA, guys wanted to play with Kobe. Once again, not saying that there's not some factor of being in LA, being in New York, being in Miami. That is a factor, but it's not this overwhelming piece. Klay Thompson, from LA, his dad played on the Lakers. Supposedly they offered him 4 years, $80 million. And even he didn't end up signing with them. Guys want to play with other great players. Go back to the Heatles. It wasn't just, out of the 3 teams and 3 cities they were in, Miami was the more poppin' city, Miami was the cooler city, Miami was the better city to live in. No, Miami had the cap space, the flexibility, and D-Wade was already there, which helped. But if you remember the stories from back then, Chicago was also an option. And while we understand Chicago is a big city in America, if the reasons you like Miami are not the reasons you like Chicago. Miami, it is sunny weather all year round. In Chicago, it is really, really cold in the winter. So the understanding in basketball, you play in December, you play during these colder months. So it's not like you would love Chicago the same way you love Miami. But they had the flexibility in Miami. They had the ability to pull it off, and that's why they went there. And they already had the great player, Dwayne Wade. Guys go to LA to play with Kobe, to play with Magic, to play with Shaq. Guys went to Miami to play with D. Wade. Guys are going to Dallas to play with Luka. Somebody will make a decision to go to Milwaukee to play with Giannis, or wherever Giannis ends up going. Guys will go to Golden State to play with Steph. Golden State, that's really where this all starts to break down, is if you look at these examples of these unique situations of cities that have one clear, or teams that have one clear run of unmatched success versus the rest of its history of a franchise, the Warriors, with and without Steph, are two entirely different franchises. The Bulls, with and without Jordan, are two entirely different franchises. The Cavs, who LeBron was able to get some guys to come there, with LeBron and without LeBron, are two totally different franchises. Guys are not going to these cities or going to these states because it's just the cool thing to do, or they love the weather, whatever. Like I said, it's a factor, but it is not this overwhelming, overbearing thing. Look at New York is probably the biggest market in any sport you could possibly get, maybe minus the Dallas Cowboys in football. It's New York City. All the bright lights, all the opportunities are there. And who is currently playing for the New York Knicks? A bunch of tough-nosed guys who all played college at Villanova together. They don't have these super glamorous superstars. They're not attracting these guys, the superstars of the league. No, their team is built off guys who are willing to play 44 minutes a night and let Tom Thibodeau run their legs into the ground. This idea that these stars and these multimillionaires and these professional athletes are just so enticed by the city they can't think of anything else, it's just not valid. It's not true. It's not real. And I used to believe in this. I used to sit there all the time and complain and say, oh my gosh, I like these small market teams because I watched the Knicks when they did get Melo, and the Heat when they did get LeBron, D-Wade, and Bosh, and the Lakers when they had Kobe, Powell. And I was like, man, is this really all it's going to be? And no. Not saying there won't be stretches, not saying there won't be guys, but even the guys that want to go there, if the Knicks didn't have some talent, Melo would have never gone to New York. If the Heat didn't have D-Wade, LeBron would have never gone to Miami. The city themselves are not getting these otherworldly superstar guys. That's just the reality of the situation.